Growing up, Pauline Deakin always suspected that there was just something off about her family. Years later, she would find out she was right. In 1970, when she was 5 years old, her parents, Ruth and Warren, separated because her father, Warren, was a heavy drinker and he's extremely violent. When Pauline was 9, her mother told her and her brother that they were going to go on a vacation to Winnipeg. They drove all the way to Winnipeg, they went inside their new vacation home, and Ruth informed her children that they were actually never going back. And when you're old enough, I'll explain everything. But right as she was starting to feel normal, her mother told her and her brother that they needed to move right now, all over again. This time, they were going to go all the way to New Brunswick. Once in New Brunswick, they stayed there for many years. Fast forward to 1988, when Pauline was 23 years old, her mother called her and said, "Hey, I'd like to meet you at a motel. I'm finally ready to tell you everything about your childhood." She saw her mother waiting outside, kind of pacing around, looking very anxious. When they went inside, there was a man sitting in the middle of the room that Pauline immediately recognized. It was the reverend of their church when they used to live in Vancouver. His name was Stan Sears. Her mother explained that the reason they had to move so many times was because Pauline's father, Warren, was actually a mobster. Pauline's mother found out she had a hit put on her head. Stan also found out that he had a hit on his head because they knew about their relationship. And Pauline's mother says, "After all these years, we were just tired of being in hiding, and so we've already spoken to the authorities, and they've moved us into a special witness protection program for families connected to the mob. It's referred to as entering the weird world, where basically you have agents that follow you around, that are undercover, that track what you're doing, and make sure there's no assassination attempt on you." She says, "Well, what happened to Dad?" Pauline's mother says, "He's in the weird world too." And so Pauline went back home, but after only a couple of days, her paranoia was so high, and she called her mother and said, "I want to join the weird world." And so Pauline's mother told her that she would be in touch with one of her agents and they would contact Pauline when it was time for her to go. But the waiting dragged on for 5 years. Pauline started to doubt this whole mafia thing was even true, and so Pauline called her mother and very convincingly told her that, "Oh my goodness, someone just broke into my apartment. I think it was someone from the mafia. Should I call the police? What do I do?" And her mother said, "No, I'm going to get in touch with Stan and see if he knows what to do." And just a couple of minutes later, Pauline's mother called back and said, "I spoke to Stan and he spoke to the undercover agents that sit outside your house. And they said that, yes, unfortunately, not one, but 2 men from the mafia broke into your house today, but luckily they're in custody, so you're safe now." And it was at this point that Pauline realised her mother and Stan had been living a lie since she was 5 years old. There was no mafia. Her father was not a mobster. It was all made up. Stan was suffering from something called delusion syndrome, where totally normal people have one distinct delusion. And during his relationship with Pauline's mother, he passed on his delusion to her, which is shared delusion syndrome, and they took to their graves the belief that the mafia was after them. And so even though Pauline never got an apology from her mother, Pauline ultimately made peace with the situation by writing a best-selling memoir called Run, Hide, Repeat. Check it out.